Prince William is reportedly formulating a plan to finally strip Prince Harry and Meghan Markle of their HRH titles. Riley Sullivan is a lifestyle reporter here at skynews.com.au, and he's always across the latest celebrity headlines.
So the fact that she's continued to use this HRH when they've been instructed not to, I think is absolutely infuriating in Buckingham Palace. And there was a very interesting source inside close to the Prince of Wales who spoke to the Daily Beast.
Changed my mind on things, but I don't want them to be stripped of it, but I think I now understand they're trying to do, I think that would really be validated if they said, this institution isn't for us. We love our family, but we would like to hand these back. And I think that would be incredible.
Meghan Markle is about to lose everything she built her brand on. Not the house in Montecito, not the Netflix money or podcast deals, but the title, the crown. The last piece of royalty she still clings to. And this time, it's not the press or the public coming for it. It's the British Parliament. It didn't start with outrage. It began in silence, whispers through the halls of Westminster, murmurs of betrayal, and quiet frustration that had been building since the day she walked away. For years, Meghan used the Duchess of Sussex title like a brand, a logo, a gateway to power in Hollywood. But behind palace doors, that title still belonged to the crown. And now the crown wants it back. An official petition has been launched inside the House of Lords, Britain's oldest and most powerful legislative chamber. It's not just symbolic, it's legal, it's bipartisan, and it's deadly serious. Meghan Markle is being accused of using her royal status for commercial gain, violating centuries-old diplomatic protocol, and dragging the monarchy through global scandal. The institution that stayed silent through Megxit is silent no more. And reports say Prince William is quietly supporting the move, ready to cut the last royal thread tying Meghan to the throne. She wanted the fairy tale without the duty. But in the eyes of British law, that fairy tale is officially over.
It was agreed with Queen Elizabeth that they will not use the HRH title. That is a long-standing precedent, and there's good reason for it. Basically, the HRH is only given to working royals and senior members of the royal family.
Oh, shut up. What do you mean the stakes are this high? Who do you think you are? Other than a latte-munching imbecile living in luxury in California while the rest of the world's a cost of living crisis, moaning and whining about an institution which gave you the titles on which you now trade millions of dollars. What are you talking about? What stakes?
It didn't explode overnight. There was no grand announcement, no dramatic fallout, just a shift in the air, subtle, cold, unmistakable. Inside the stone walls of Westminster, something had changed. Lawmakers, once hesitant to touch royal matters, were now quietly preparing to take a stand. Not through gossip columns or angry headlines, but through legislation. Behind closed doors, senior officials began raising concerns. Meghan Markle was still being addressed as Her Royal Highness in press circles. She was still introduced at events as the Duchess of Sussex. And despite stepping away from royal duties in 2020, despite an agreement with Queen Elizabeth herself, she never fully let the title go. At first, it was seen as an oversight, but the truth was louder than anyone wanted to admit. Meghan had turned her royal title into a tool, a way to open doors in Hollywood, charm investors, and launch projects under the glow of royalty without doing a single day of royal service. And that's when the whispers began turning into questions. Questions turned into frustration, and frustration turned into action. Because while the palace kept its lips sealed, Parliament did not. Members of the House of Lords, many of them lifelong defenders of British tradition, had seen enough. They weren't reacting to petty headlines. They were watching the slow erosion of something sacred, the honor system that defines the monarchy. And if Buckingham Palace wouldn't act to defend it, Parliament would.
She's slaughtered this weekend because there were some business cards in the back of one of her podcasts. She's still using her royal title, HRH, despite our late Queen warning her against.
With King Charles on his way out, Prince William is expected to take over the crown. And apparently at the top of his list is to say, "Peace out, Meghan, you're done." And he plans to formally strip Meghan Markle of her royal title.
This time, it wasn't a tabloid hit piece. It wasn't a YouTube rant or a trending hashtag. It was real. A formal petition introduced inside the House of Lords by Lord Simon Lee, a respected crossbench peer known for keeping politics above personal drama. And what this petition called for sent shockwaves through every level of British power: the legal removal of Meghan Markle's Duchess of Sussex title. And this wasn't a partisan stunt. Both Conservative and Labour peers backed the motion. That alone made it historic. This wasn't about one royal figure stepping out of line. It was about protecting the very foundation of British nobility and holding Meghan accountable for what Parliament now calls one of the most blatant misuses of a royal title in modern history. The language in the motion wasn't polite. It was sharp, blunt, direct. Meghan was accused of treating her title like a commercial brand, using it for personal profit and making a mockery of an institution built on duty, honor, and tradition. And it wasn't just about what she said or did. It was about what she represented, a new kind of royal celebrity that blurred the lines between monarchy and media, tradition and influence. In the eyes of the Lords, that was not only dangerous, it was unforgivable. The message from Parliament was crystal clear: royal titles are not decorative. They are constitutional, and when used for clout, profit, or self-promotion, they become a threat to the system itself. And Meghan wasn't just bending the rules, she was breaking them. If there was a moment that tipped the scales, this was it. In May 2024, Meghan Markle and Prince Harry landed in Nigeria. The trip wasn't officially sanctioned by the royal family. It wasn't approved by the Foreign Office. Yet Meghan arrived draped in traditional attire, delivered public speeches, posed with military officials, and presented herself like she was still on the royal payroll. There were no press releases from Buckingham Palace, no coordination with diplomatic authorities, just staged photo ops, smiles for the cameras, and speeches dripping with royal gravitas. To the public, it looked like a goodwill tour. But to Parliament, it looked like something far more dangerous: unauthorized diplomatic posturing. Behind the scenes, fury erupted. Members of the House of Lords called it a reckless move that blurred the lines between private citizen and official royal. Without permission, Meghan had walked straight into the role of a working duchess, a role she formally abandoned years ago. And in doing so, she crossed a line the Crown had warned her not to. According to insiders, neither the British government nor the monarchy was informed ahead of time. And that lack of clearance wasn't just a breach of protocol. It was a direct threat to the Crown's neutrality on the world stage, a principle the royal family is sworn to uphold. That trip became the breaking point. What started as a whisper of disapproval turned into a thunderclap inside Westminster. Because Meghan hadn't just ignored the rules, she'd rewritten them for herself, and the British system wasn't going to let her get away with it. While the Nigeria trip lit the match, the fire had been smoldering for years. Meghan didn't just keep the title, she capitalized on it. From Netflix deals to Spotify exclusives, every public appearance, every project, every paycheck was stamped with royal authority. Not in name only, but in font, in branding, and in strategy. Her Netflix docuseries didn't open with Harry and Meghan. It opened with the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, those words filling the screen in royal calligraphy. Their voices told the world they had stepped back from royal life, but the imagery screamed something else. We're still royal and we're selling it. And then came the trademarks. Meghan and Harry attempted to lock down Archewell and Sussex Royal as global brands covering everything from clothing to digital media to charity initiatives. It was a business blueprint drenched in royal prestige, one that blurred the line between public duty and private profit. The backlash wasn't slow. Queen Elizabeth herself reportedly stepped in to block them from using the word royal on merchandise, a monarch intervening in a branding battle unprecedented but necessary. To Parliament, this was the smoking gun. Meghan wasn't just misusing her title, she was monetizing it, turning noble heritage into Hollywood currency. That, in their eyes, crossed into outright exploitation. Because royalty in Britain is more than ceremonial. It's bound by law, legacy, and the idea that a title is earned through service, not sold to the highest bidder. And for Meghan, the bill was finally coming due. It was supposed to be just another celebrity sighting, Meghan Markle at Beyoncé's Cowboy Carter concert in Los Angeles. Cameras flashed, fans screamed, and then it happened. One clip went viral, Meghan laughing, posing, and saying on camera, "You know I'm Sussex now." It was casual, flippant, even a little playful. But for the House of Lords, it wasn't a joke, it was a confirmation. Proof that Meghan saw her title as a brand, not a burden, a punchline, not a position of honor. And in that split second, Parliament found the moment it needed. The quote was cited in the official petition, not just as evidence of poor taste, but as crass trivialization of a centuries-old sovereign designation. It didn't matter that she wasn't on a stage. The damage was done. Adding fuel to the fire, Meghan was also seen joking with actress Mindy Kaling, telling her to call me Meghan Sussex. What might have been harmless fun in Hollywood was interpreted in London as open mockery of the British peerage system. The House of Lords had already been building its case, but this moment, this viral snippet of arrogance was the last straw. Because to the public, it looked like Meghan was reveling in her Duchess identity while rejecting everything the title stood for. She wanted the perks without the protocol, and Parliament wasn't going to let that slide. That one offhand remark didn't just go viral, it detonated a constitutional debate that had been waiting to explode. While Parliament drafted motions behind closed doors, the British public made their opinion loud and clear. A YouGov poll conducted in May 2025 didn't just show disapproval, it revealed a full-scale revolt. 77% of Britons wanted Meghan Markle stripped of her Duchess of Sussex title. That's not a slim majority, that's a landslide. It was the strongest public backlash ever recorded against Meghan since she entered royal life. And this time, it wasn't driven by media headlines or royal gossip. It came from everyday citizens, people across political lines, age groups, and even demographics that once sympathized with her story. The frustration had evolved. What once felt like disappointment had hardened into resentment. To many, Meghan symbolized a rejection of British values, duty, modesty, and service. Instead, she was seen jet-setting across continents, turning royal heritage into Hollywood currency, and using her platform to criticize the very institution that gave her status. And the public wasn't just angry about her. 61% of those polled said Prince Harry should lose his titles too, especially his Royal Highness designation. But for now, the focus remains squarely on Meghan. The lightning rod of controversy, the symbol of perceived betrayal. Social media lit up with viral commentary. Petitions gained traction. Even longtime royal watchers began shifting their tone. Meghan was no longer just a controversial figure. She had become a constitutional liability. And with Parliament listening closely, public pressure wasn't just noise. It was political ammunition. Because when nearly 8 out of 10 people demand action, the system is forced to respond. Long before the Beyoncé concert or the Nigeria trip, the cracks were already showing. And for many in Parliament, those cracks began with a microphone and a seat opposite Oprah Winfrey. In 2021, Meghan Markle sat down for a bombshell interview that would shake the monarchy to its core. She accused an unnamed royal of making racist remarks about her child. She spoke of being silenced, neglected, and mentally isolated within the institution. The world listened. The headlines exploded. And Buckingham Palace stayed silent. But Parliament didn't forget. To lawmakers, that interview wasn't just personal, it was a constitutional landmine. Meghan still held the Duchess of Sussex title when she made those allegations, and in doing so, she weaponized a royal identity to deliver a global attack on the monarchy, one that the institution had no way to publicly counter. The controversy didn't stop there. Meghan launched her Spotify podcast, Archetypes, and regularly referenced her time as a royal. She spoke about racism, mental health, and behind-the-scenes dynamics of palace life, all while leveraging her Duchess title to boost credibility and reach. She blurred the line between personal platform and noble privilege, and Parliament took notice. In the House of Lords debate, Meghan's public comments were cited as repeated violations of Royal Communications Protocol, a centuries-old rule designed to prevent royals from making unauthorized political or personal statements, especially when overseas. To lawmakers, this wasn't free speech. It was strategic, deliberate, and damaging. The monarchy couldn't respond, but Parliament could. And now, every word Meghan had once spoken for sympathy was being turned into evidence for legal retribution. This wasn't just about public image anymore, this was about constitutional law, and in Britain, when a royal title becomes a threat to the system itself, the state moves swiftly. The House of Lords didn't just talk, they acted. The petition laid out specific accusations, citing misuse of noble rank, unauthorized public statements, and commercial exploitation of a royal identity. It named her Netflix documentary, her Spotify deals, her interviews, even her podcast. All of it, according to Parliament, built on a title she had no right to use in that way. Legal scholars weighed in, pointing to the Royal Titles Act of 1917, a law that forbids using royal titles for private gain or public manipulation. Meghan hadn't just danced near the edge, she crossed it, again and again. But perhaps the most damning part of the petition wasn't what Meghan had done, it was what the British public had come to believe. That royalty had become a brand, a logo, a marketing strategy. And if that perception stood unchallenged, it would strip the monarchy of its mystique, its dignity, its very meaning. Meghan's defenders cried foul, blaming racism, sexism, and outdated tradition. But Parliament didn't flinch, because in their view, this wasn't a personal vendetta. It was a matter of national integrity. And so, what began as a whisper of disapproval had become something far more powerful. A formal move to evict Meghan Markle from the British peerage system, not with scandal, but with statute. Because in a system built on honor, you don't get to cash in on a crown, and keep it too. Meghan Markle didn't just walk away from the palace. She walked away with a crown-shaped key, a title that opened every door, legitimized every deal, and gave her the one thing Hollywood couldn't manufacture: royal blood on demand. But that title, it was never hers to keep. Now, in the quiet halls of Westminster, that key is being revoked. Not because of gossip, not because of jealousy, but because the British establishment has finally drawn a line in the sand. This is more than a royal fallout. It's a constitutional reckoning. The monarchy has survived wars, abdications, assassinations, and betrayals. But never before has it faced a duchess who turned royal duty into global content. Meghan wanted to be free, but she also wanted to stay royal, and the system is finally calling that bluff. With the House of Lords leading the charge and public support surging behind it, her title, Duchess of Sussex, now hangs by a thread. And if Parliament succeeds, it won't just strip her of prestige, it will erase the brand she built her empire on. Because when you trade a crown for a camera, eventually someone's gonna ask you to choose. Meghan Markle may have lit the fuse years ago, but this is the explosion. And as the dust settles over Montecito and Westminster alike, one thing is clear. In Britain, titles come with rules. And when those rules are broken, no amount of fame can save you.